운전 공포 체험 지금 시작합니다.
귀신 살고 있대잖아.
체험에 앞서 방송 순서를 간략히 설명해드립니다.
10. The cat. So Yeon, a pet groomer who is afraid of heights, depends on how her phobia impacts her work. One day, during a conversation with one of her clients, who subsequently dies on the elevator, Soo-yeon loses her customer's cat by Dan. The workings of the murderer remain unknown, leaving only the cat to remember the woman's death. The police suggest that So-yeon look after Bai Dan during the investigation. But there's something different about So-yeon by the time she brings Bai Dan home. The cat has a 5.7 rating in IMDb. Number 9. The Soulmate. Jang-soo is a judo instructor who adores his family above all, even ignoring his neighbors. One day, Jang-soo discovers that he can view a jinn, an apparition who used to be a committed policeman. He lies to the jinn that he cannot see or hear him, but the jinn asks to visit his neighborhood to look for the unsolved mystery Jang-soo had completed. The Soulmate has a 6.1 rating in IMDb.
귀신 싫어해. 나 깜짝깜짝 놀라는 거 싫어한다고.
진짜 귀신 틀어요?
뭐야, 그건 좀비 아니야.
Number 8. White. The Melody of the Curse. The Pink Dolls are a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease girls group that consists of lead dancer Shin Ji, frontwoman Yoonju, vocalist Jenny, and the youngest of the group, H. Rang. In the agency's new headquarters, frontwoman Yoonju finds an old videotape of an unnumbered music video. The song recorded on it is slow and gloomy, but also mesmerizing. The crowd suddenly stops, and the numbers skyrocket. Excited, the Pink Dolls choose to release the single entitled White, doubling their fame. Singer Jenny passes out during a practice session. Rang becomes hostile towards her friend Shinji, who suffers from an allergic reaction to an item he ingested. White. The Melody of the Curse has a 5.9 rating in IMDb.
15년 전에 무슨 일이 있었는지 알아내야 돼. 다음엔 내 차례일지도 모르잖아.
Number 7. Killer Tune. Popular webcomic creator Ji-yeon also finds her own life, mirroring her works after one of her publishers dies in a way that closely approximates the imagery used in her latest comic. Everyone except investigative detective Ki-chul knows she's in an airtight alibi, while few consider suicide or an imitation murder as possible explanations for the sudden death Ji-yeon. As the story progresses, Ki-chul starts uncovering the terrible truths of the comic book drawings that resemble those made by Ji-yeon. Killer Tune has a 6.2 rating in IMDb.
당신들도 죽을까 봐 겁나는 거야?
Number 6. The Eighth Night. Numerous centuries ago, Buddha vanquished a demon and excised his eyes, stuffing them in caskets, one farther east and one farther west. When an archaeologist discovers the red eye in the wasteland, he is regarded as a fool by the press and falls out of favor. But 9 years later, he lays out a plan to help bring the eyes and awaken the demon using 6 people who attempted suicide in attaching the red eyes, meeting the virgin shaman and joining to the black one. The only hope of salvation is a previous monk who guards the black eye using prayer and a prayer bead on one hand and an axe on the other in hopes of reaching the virgin shaman and saving everyone from darkness on earth. The Eighth Night has a 5.3 rating in IMDb.
산자와 죽은 자 모두가
Number 5. Morning Grave. Soo comes back to his hometown, where all of his miseries that caused phantom visions began. He tried to get away from them, but he could not get rid of his ghosts, disdaining grudges. Soo sought advice from his uncle, Sun-il, who also inherited the ability to see phantoms from his great-grandfather. But Sun-il is no exception. Soo's new high school life is a nightmare with bullies picking on weak classmates. With no help, Sun-il has to try and endure. His only consolation is an increasingly mysterious ghost girlfriend. One day, the bullies at school are attacked one after another by a grim girl wearing a mask. Soo is self-conscious because of his association with a bullied girl who committed suicide. He centers himself by distancing himself from a dark past and looks for connections to exploit a lethal case. Morning Grave has a 5.9 rating in IMDb.
네가 누군지 알아? 걱정 마. 내가 구해줄게.
Number 4. House of the Disappeared. Mei was just a regular housewife married to a police detective, and she also had a daughter. Suddenly, her husband died and her child disappeared from their home. As a consequence, she was imprisoned for 25 years earlier. She is now under house arrest back to her original home, the place where all the events took place. House of the Disappeared has a 6.3 rating in IMDb.
눈을 감고 절대로 뜨면 안 돼. 저 사람들 아직도 여기 있어.
Number 3. Ganjiam. Haunted Asylum. In 1979, 42 patients at Ganjiam Mental Hospital committed suicide and the facility's director ran away. Rumors and tales concerning the now abandoned Ganjiam Psychiatric Hospital circulate greatly. An internet broadcaster enlists several people to be a tourist at a haunted asylum, one of several sites listed as the most frightening areas in the world by Ken. They are there to experience the location and transmit the footage on air during the show. The host acts shocking stunts to attract more spectators, but as soon as they're in the entrance, their tricks get out of hand. Ganjiam. Haunted Asylum has a 6.4 rating in IMDb and a 74% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
대장 어딨어?
Number 2. Hello Ghost. Sangman tries to commit suicide, but he keeps failing every time. In one of his suicidal attempts, he overdoses by medicine and his heart stops. However, he's transported to the hospital and is saved when he wakes up. Strangely, he starts seeing ghosts. The shaman is informed that the ghosts will prevent him from committing suicide and they will not permit him to torture himself. Sangman learns that if he helps the ghosts' unfulfilled wishes become a reality, they will leave him alone and he will be able to end his life. Meanwhile, Sangman meets a nurse, Jung Yoon Soo, at the hospital and immediately falls in love. But the ghosts begin taking over Sangman's body. Hello Ghost has a 7.5 rating in IMDb and 85% in audience score in Rotten Tomatoes.
이거 얼마?
Number 1. Spellbound. Jogu, a street magician, meets a lonely young lady while performing at one of his shows. Her name is Yurai. She is the inspiration for his special horror magic show, which is wildly popular, and he becomes a successful magician with an attractive model girlfriend. Yurai starts out working as a support actor for the show, but the darkness she sees from the vantage point of her teammate keeps her from truly connecting with other participants. Jogu attempts to include her at dinner, but it comes down to a disastrous end when Jogu gets extremely drunk. Jogu calls Yurai the next morning, but when the call to disconnect comes up bad, Jogu gets wound up. Jogu finds her, and she tells Jogu about her gorgeous, ghostly face. Yurai has memories of being seriously injured when she was involved in a school car accident, and she has also come across her future ex-boyfriend Joo-hee in the past, who is a ghost. Joo-hee is a ghost, haunting her everywhere and frightening her. Eventually, Yuri's family left the country, abandoning her to live in a makeshift tent and interact with others for short periods of time. Spellbound has a 6.8 rating in IMDb.
정 힘들다 싶을 땐 그만 가요.
연애하기 참 힘드네.